Hi everybody, my name is Kabelo D.P Kusane. I'm the Associate Identity and Access Management Consultant at Process Technology. In today's section, we're going to have a look at securing an ADF application using Oracle Entitlement 7. We will first look at an overview of the ADF application that we will attempt to secure. We will do a policy modeling and analysis exercise to identify the resources and corresponding actions inside OES. We will then create entitlements and authorization policies in OES that will be invoked from our sample application. We will modify the application to use OES for authorization. For the remainder of this tutorial, it is assumed that you have Oracle Entitlement Server installed. It's assumed that you have RMI SM configured and registered with Oracle Entitlement Server Admin Console. It is assumed that you have all the relevant HR schemas used in the sample application created in an Oracle database instance. It is assumed that you have Oracle JDeveloper 11G R2 installed. It is assumed that you have Identity Repository installed. For this, for the purpose of this tutorial, I've installed Oracle Unified Directory Server to act as our Identity Repository. I've already created the identities and the groups concerned. Alright, let's get started. We'll first look at an overview of the application, what it does and what it's all about. Okay, the application allows employees to query the HR database for information about their own accounts and accounts of their fellow employees. The application is designed such that sensitive data is only displayed to the users with privileged access. Security on the application is implemented to disable panel tabs, fields, and buttons based on the user's authentication state and the user's role membership. To achieve the above, the application leverages groups defined in the company X access LDAP repository to define which group of users have access to what components inside the application. For the scope of this tutorial, the actors identified in the application are: S. King will be the HR manager, B. Coos will be the manager within the context of the application, David Favetti will be just a normal employee. Okay. At the moment, the application uses Oracle ADF security feature. On the home.gsf page, I'll show you the page on the design view of the application inside JDeveloper. So it uses ADF security on the home.gsf page to enable and disable panel tabs based on the user's authentication state and the person's role membership. Like I've already alluded, that the tutorial will demonstrate how we will disable the ADF security and replace it with Oracle Entitlement Server for access control. The sample application at the moment using the ADF security enforces the following security rules. The home tab is public and accessible by all. Other tabs only require the user to be authenticated. The user profile tab enables the manager to create new reporting employees. Only HR managers are allowed to change the employee salary for existing employees. All managers can define the salary of the new records. The management salary review tab is enabled for managers. The employee search tab allows all the users to search for employee records. However, only HR managers are allowed to edit employees in this context. A hidden tab called HR managers only is read-only for all the managers except managers for whom it is enabled. So for the scope of this tutorial, we will first secure. I'll first demonstrate how to secure the management salary overview tab, so that it's only visible to the managers. Then I'll demonstrate how to secure an ADF field, which will only allow HR managers to make changes to it. Then I'll demonstrate how to disable the create employee button that will only allow managers to have access to that button. All right, let's have an overview of what the application, how the application is designed. Before you run this application, just make sure that the connection details to the database are correct. To do that, just go to the application to view, then go to database, then click on database navigator, drop down your project and right click on the connection. Just verify that where you created your HR schema, that you can be able to connect to that database. Do a test connection. All right, click OK. Then to run the application, just right click on drop down view controller, right click on home.gsf and run the application. I've already ran the application. Oh, sorry. To download this application, just use the following URL to download the application, and then just import it inside OES, inside Oracle Entitlement, inside JDeveloper. I've rerun the application, and this is how the application looks like. At the moment, the home tab is only visible to unauthenticated users. So we will log in. We will log in with an account that doesn't have privileges. David Vetti. Welcome one. Okay, because David Vetti is just a normal employee who doesn't have privileges, he only has access to two tabs: the user profile tab, employee search tab. And you'll notice that the management salary overview tab has been disabled, and this is achieved by the ADF security. But for the purpose of the tutorial, we will use Oracle Entitlement Server to enforce security on this tab. Let's log out and log in back with an account that is a manager. Okay, I'll log back in as a manager account, Arnold. Welcome one. You'll notice that the Alexander Arnold has access to 3 tabs: user profile, management salary overview tab, employee search tab. These are the tabs that he has access to. You'll notice that the HR Managers Only tab is disabled because he's not the HR manager, so he doesn't have privileges to access the tab. So this again is the security on this tab is managed by the ADF security, which will disable to replace it with Oracle Entitlement Server. Let's log in back with an account that is an HR. Welcome one. You'll notice that the HR, Stephen King is both an HR manager and he's a manager as well. So he has access to all the tabs inside the application, including the HR Managers Only tab. So all of this security is actually done by the ADF security feature. All right. For the first thing we will attempt to secure, we're using Oracle Entitlement Server, is the management salary overview tab, so that it's only visible to the managers and the HR managers, not the normal employee. To do that, we first need to you first need to identify what resource types and actions will be defined inside OES, and to do that you need to do an identity a policy modeling analysis exercise. So I've already defined this. So this row just outlines what we will protect. So we'll protect the management salary overview tab. This will be a resource inside OES and will be of type panel tabs. These are the actions that will be performed, will be granted on that tab. And then you have to identify what users will actually have access to the resource inside the application. And in this instance, I've identified that members of the manager group and members of the HR manager group will have access to the salary overview tab, and they will have access to the view and open action. All right, let's get started with defining these resources inside OES. To get started, we will define an application container that will house all of the OES components that will be required to establish security for our sample application. The first thing we'll need to do, we need to define an application inside Oracle Entitlement Server. Okay. Logging into your Oracle Entitlement Server admin console, then click application and click create. We will create an application called ADF application. Click save. All right, you'll notice that the display name will be displayed on the application on the tab. Just close, click on the application. We'll first create the resource type. We'll define the resource type, and then we'll use the modeling exercise to look at what type we need to create. So we'll create a type of panel called panel tab protection. Then click on resource type, panel tab, click save. Then create the actions that will be associated with this resource type. Create view action. We'll create open action. Then click apply. Click close. Then we'll then create the resources. For this instance, we'll create the management salary overview resource. Click on new resource. Make sure that it is of type panel tab. Management salary overview tab. Click on save. Right. Click close. All right. We'll then define the application roles. The application role that we create for this instance, we'll create the application manager role that will give access that will be tied to the resource grants, and then members of this application role will then be assigned to those resource grants. So let's create the application role. Click new under application role. Click save. Okay. Once we have defined the application role, then we need to define the entitlements that will be granted for the application role. So for this instance, we'll create the management entitlements. To create the entitlement, click on new, then specify that as our display name. Just can give it the same name as display name. Then specify the resource that will be part of this entitlements. You'll notice here that we have defined the salary overview resource. So we'll specify the salary overview resource as our entitlements. Let's click on add. Click on add targets. Then for this entitlement, we will give we'll give access to open view. We'll give open and view action. Click save. All right. Then we will define the authorization policy. The authorization policy. To create the authorization policy, just close on the entitlements. Then click new under authorization policy. Okay, display name. Okay, specify that. So we will give the policy in the display name that value. So under this authorization policy, we'll specify the principals as the application role called application manager. So members of this application role will have access to the entitlement that we'll specify just now. Add selected, then add principal. Then the application role will be tied to the entitlement that we created earlier on, which is the management entitlements. Click add targets. All right, we've created our authorization policy. So we're basically saying that any user that is part of this role will have access privileges defined inside the management entitlements. So click save. All right, click close the tab. Then we need to define role mapping policies to map the application role to the groups defined in your enterprise repository to map the users that are members of the external groups to the application role, so that those users it can be assigned the roles and then ultimately be granted all the access that is mapped to the application role. So for this tutorial, we will create the manager's application role to map the application role and the group that is mapped to that has all the users that are managers as members. So to create the role mapping policy, let's go to, we'll create the manager. We'll create the manager role mapping. We'll give it a name, role map manager. Name, we'll give it that. Specify the display name. And then what we are saying is that we will map the application role that we created earlier, which is the app manager. Add selected, add principal. we'll map it to the external group that has all the users that are deemed managers. So we'll map it to the enterprise manager group. Let's select it. Just to divert a bit, the enterprise manager group is derived from my OUD environment. So if I log into OUD here, just to show you the groups that I've defined. So you'll notice here that I've defined inside my ALDEP repository, I've defined the enterprise manager group, and below are the enterprise manager group, and below are the members of this group. So what we are saying is that members of this group, because we are creating a role mapping policy, we are saying members of this group will be mapped to the application role called app manager. And because the app manager is tied to the resource grants at runtime during an authorization call, members of this group will be assigned any grants that is tied to the application role. Okay, so then let's specify the resource that will be assigned by this role mapping. So select panel tab, search, select management salary overview. That's a tab that we want to protect. Add targets, then click save. Alright, click close. We now need to bind our application to the configured security module. To do that, we'll go to security configuration, then we'll click on security modules, click on your SM. Let's bind the application to this SM. Search for the application. The application is now, it has now been bound to the SM. Then let's distribute the policy that we have defined earlier on to the SM. Then we'll click on the application, click on policy distribution, click distribute tab. Click refresh. Alright, we have distributed our policy to the security module. So now we are done defining all the artifacts needed to secure our management salary overview tab. All right. We will then attempt to modify the sample application to then use OES for permission checks to give access to the management salary overview tab. To achieve this, we will first need to create 3 Java classes. The first one is the one called RMI authorization service. This class basically just does a connection to the RMI SM APIs and does permission checks. So the following method is access allowed, does permission checks to check if the logged in user has access to the specified resources. Okay, let's first create this class inside our sample application. Okay, inside your application, just drop down view controller, and then let's create a package for our new classes. Package name, click OK. All right. we will create this Java class called RMI Authorization Service Imp. Just right click on your package, create new Java class. Okay, give it the name, click OK, then just specify the details of this class. For you to invoke the RMI service, we need to have the corresponding jar files into the class library, into the class path. To achieve this, we will specify this in the libraries and class path of the project. Click Add Jar. Okay, below are the jars required for this project, for the classes to work. I already exported this jar file, so you definitely need these jar files: RMI steps, RMI types, RMI SM, and the WFU client to run this Java class. Okay. Then next we'll need to create another class, which will be a Java bean that will be used by the sample application on the on its components. We'll define a class called OES backend bean. Just create a new class, Java class, give it the name OES backend bean, click OK, specify the details of this class. Alright, so this class, okay, we'll create another class called retrieve user group. We need to, this class basically just connects to my Oracle Unified Directory server to get the users groups, and then passes it along with during an authorization call to OES. So let's create the Java class. Click here, Java class, give it a name, click OK, specify the details of this class, save the class. Alright, so the OES backend bean, what it does is that it basically makes connection to the, it invokes the RMI authorization service to invoke the is access allowed method to check if the logged in user has access to the resources that will be passed. So the class basically specifies the IP address or the host name where the Oracle entitlement server resides, and then it specifies the port where the RMI SM has been configured. And then you'll notice if you go down, we have all these methods defined inside the Java class. So what this methods basically says that we passing in the resource type, and then the resources defined, and then the access to check if the specified user has view access on it on the resource called managers only. So for this purpose of this tutorial, because we've defined the management salary overview, so we will pass in, we will invoke the method. This method is view management salary overview to check if the login user has view access on the management salary overview tab. Right, click save, click save. All right, we will then need to register our OES baking bin Java class as a Java bin. To do this, in your project, double click on, just drop down webinf, double click on the faces.config.xml file, click on overview, then click add, specify the name of the bin, OES baking bin, click on search to search for the Java class that we need to convert, we need to register as a bin. Click OK. Then remember to click configuration file so that this is defined inside the faces.config.xml file. Click OK. So click save all. Close this. Then our OES baking bin is registered as a Java bin. All right. I'll close that. Then okay, let's dive in and then let's attempt to protect the management salary overview tab. Before we can do that, just make sure that the following code snippet is defined inside the OES baking bin class. This basically just we just basically passing in as part of the authorization call the resource, which is the management salary overview that we defined in OES earlier on, and then we passing in view, and we also passing in view so that we check if the logged in user has view access on the management salary overview tab. So let's get started. From the sample application, click on management salary overview. Then just on the bottom right hand corner, click on drop down next to the under behavior, next to the disabled property. Drop down there under the drop down, and then select expression builder. Then specify the following. You'll notice this is the OES baking bin. This is the Java class that we just converted to a bin earlier on. Dot open. So these are the methods. These are the methods defined inside the baking bin. So we are basically checking if the logged in user has access to the salary overview tab. Click OK. Just verify that what we define is inside the property. Then click save all. Click save all and then rerun the application so that it takes in the new changes. Okay, the application is being redeployed. Let's wait for it to be redeployed, and then we will log in with an account that doesn't have the management privileges, and then we'll log back in with an account that has manager privileges. Okay, well, we're still waiting for the application to redeploy. Still waiting for the application to redeploy. Okay, looks like it's coming through. Okay. Okay, there we go. Let's close the earlier one. It's getting redeployed. Okay, it's up now. We will first log in. Okay, okay. Okay, let's first, because it looks like this management salary overview hasn't been this because we haven't disabled the ADF security. It looks like the ADF security is clashing with OES, so we first need to disable the ADF security inside the application. To do that, go to Application Secure, Configure ADF Security, then click on Remove. Click Next, Finish. Right, the security has been disabled. Then right click, then rerun the application again. Because the reason why we're saying this is that the OES and the ADF security seems to be clashing. So we need to disable the ADF security, because at the moment we are using Oracle Entitlement Server. So let's wait for the application to redeploy. Let's wait for the application to redeploy. Let's close this earlier on. Okay, we are still waiting for the application to redeploy. Looks like it's coming through. Okay, there we go. All right, one thing I've missed as well again is that once you have disabled the security, we'll then need to specify because we disabled the security, we'll then need to specify what the authentication repository that the application will use to authenticate. So we will we will configure the authentication to use OUD. Yes, yes. Click Next, click Finish. Click OK. Let's attempt to redeploy the application again. Click Run. We are waiting for the application to redeploy again. Still waiting for the application to redeploy. Looks like it's coming through. All right, let's close the. You'll notice now that because part of the configuring the authentication to use an external ADF repository, it will create a new login screen. Let's attempt to log in with an account that doesn't have management privileges. Okay, seems like the application didn't deploy properly. Let's confirm some of these things. Video security, next. Generate, next. Yes, yes. Next, yeah, finish. Right click, let's rerun it again because it looks like it didn't redeploy properly. Let's wait for it to run. All right, the application is back up again. Let's close the earlier one. Let's attempt to log in back again. All right, seems like I have the seems like I have the security configured the other way around. So let's click back on this thing and say, we actually say if not is that, then disable. If the user is not able to, if not is open, let's put not open. Click Save All. Save all. Let's rerun the application again. Application is still redeploying. Okay, looks like it's coming up. All right, let's close the earlier one. Then let's log back in again with Daniel's accounts, because he's just a normal employee, so he shouldn't see the management salary overview tab. Okay, so Daniel doesn't have access to the management salary overview tab, so this tells us that the application it is doing authorization call to OES to verify if the logged in user has access to the management salary overview tab. Let's log back in as an account that is a manager and see if this account has view access. Congratulations, so the manager has view access to the salary overview tab. That concludes our session of configuring an ADF component, being the ADF tab using Oracle Entitlement Server. In our next session, we will have a look at configuring protecting ADF buttons. Thanks.